Hello, today I'm going to work on setting up the OneShore training test page. And just to bring that up, I will show you what we have right now as an example. If you go to training.oneshore.com, it brings up this test page and it lists the classes. What we're going to do is we're going to build a Vue.js application that will list the courses and their times and allow you to select your time zone, and then it will display the time zone or the time of the class with your appropriate time zone, and then allow you to sign up for each class based on your selections. So this is just a mock-up. It's written in vanilla.js, and the sign-up form doesn't work. As you can see, it's not working yet. What we're going to do is we're going to build a Vue app and start from the command line. So the first thing you need to do is you need to npm install Vue/CLI in order to do that. I already have it installed, so it should succeed, or say that it's installed. Well, it's going to install it locally instead of globally. We'll just kill that off. So I have Vue CLI. Once you have Vue CLI installed, I'm just going to delete this. And okay, directory. So, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to type Vue create, and then I'll call it OneShore training. That folder should be empty. Let's kill this off. We've just got to clean this out. All right, so now we've got an empty folder. So let's start over. All right, welcome. Today I am going to start by building a website, training.oneshore.com. This is just a mock-up right now. The idea is that it has some static content and it lists the courses that are available: the test automation with Java and Selenium on Mondays, developing web applications with JavaScript on Tuesdays, all at the same time each day. And then you can change the time zone. This is just a mock-up written in static HTML and JavaScript. The sign-up form, as you can see, does not work yet. What we're going to do is we're going to re-implement this and maybe improve on it a little bit so that people can register for classes and create it as a Vue.js application and deploy it to Netliffy. So first thing I'm going to do is install Vue CLI. And so you type npm install -g for global @Vue CLI. And we can look at the documentation for this. Vue CLI. Getting started with the Vue CLI. What you want to do is you want to install this, and you can also install the CLI service global. I'm not sure what that CLI service global does. It may just use the serve. Okay, so let's just do this. I already have the Vue CLI installed, so this will take just a minute to go through and reinstall or fail and say it's already complete. So I'm just going to open up another tab and open my code editor. I'm using Visual Studio Code. Close the welcome here and see how this is doing. It's wasting time, but eventually it will succeed. And then what we can do is, since I already have it installed, I can just type Vue create and hop on over here to the web page and show you what's going on. Let's make it so I can switch between tabs fairly easily. Nothing will be full screen. All right. So what I want to do is, well, I don't want to view serve. I want to view create. So creating a project, I go to view create, and I'm just going to call it one short training. And it will create the project. You see, the first thing it asks is, how do I want to set this up with the features? I'll just choose the default. It will use Babel for compiling and ESLint for checking static analysis of the code. It'll give you warnings if you don't follow the JavaScript guidelines that are specified by ESLint, which are configurable. So let's go ahead and look at the documentation while that's loading. It says pick this, and you can optionally go through and change that. You can edit your Vue RC. You can also use the Vue UI to create a project. Let's look at that. Well, it's already running, but let's take a minute to look at the Vue CLI. Or the Vue UI. I mean, if I just type Vue UI, it's going to open up a new browser on port 8000 by default, and it allows you to do a lot of things. You can kill a port if you want to. Say you have multiple apps running, you can install plugins. We have the CLI service, the Babel, and the ESLint plugins. You see the dependencies, core.js and Vue, ESLint, and the Vue template compiler. Different configuration. You can configure your project to specify what do you want for your public folder. You might want it to be public or whatever. We're going to keep the defaults for now. Just hit refresh since we didn't save it. Cancel changes. Okay. And you can configure your ESLint, specify your ESLint or RC, or you can go from essential to strongly recommended or recommended. Just different levels of warnings that the linter will show. But let's go back to our dashboard. We can kill, we can customize. We can also create a project. I think I need to expand this out to see that. Oh, it already has it here as my project. So I can rename this project if I wanted to. Here we go. This is the screen I wanted to see. The project manager. I can create a new project, specifying a folder. I can import a project from a different folder, and so forth. So I could actually create a new project. And I can do it in temp hello view, something like that. Does it need to be private temp hello view? Oh, it needs to be under under this current directory where I'm at, under the Vue tutorial where I started this. Vue project manager, so I can create a project, call it hello Vue, and now it'll go under one short training. I don't really want it under there, but I also want to show you can initialize a Git repository or not. You want to select your default presets or manually. And it's going through, and you see through the Vue UI, it's essentially doing everything I just did in the other folder where I typed Vue create project name. And you can see it shows the project dashboard, welcome to your new project. So let's go ahead and look at that. So we have one short training, and we have Hello Vue. So let's go ahead and look at Hello Vue, which is under here. It's kind of ugly that it's nested like that, but we start with public. We have our index.html. And it's just a template, right? It has HTML, so it has some meta, has a title, and it gets the title from these Webpack options. You can look at these template variables, base URL and title. But what we really want to see is that our app element exists. So build files will be auto-injected. So right now we are not running this yet, but in order to run this, can I run Vue serve here? I don't know. I never used the UI before. What are these? I don't know. But in order to run our app, we can, let's kill this Vue UI. So we're in this Hello Vue folder. And I can just type npm run serve. And it's going to start up a development web server. And you can see it says start on port 8080. We'll go on over here and load this. It has this hello, welcome to your Vue app, right? Let's go ahead and cancel out of here. I'm going to go ahead and delete the Hello Vue, and we'll work on the one short training. I just wanted to illustrate that you could create apps from the Vue UI. Let's go ahead and destroy the project via the UI as well. Oh, it doesn't have an option to kill it. Project manager. Oh, open in editor. Opening in code editor. What editor is it going in? It's not opening it in code, I don't think. Is it opening it in Vim? Let's kill it off. I don't even care about that UI. Maybe it's cool, but I don't know how to use it. So we are in under the Vue tutorial, I have this one short training directory. Now there's nothing here. If I type Vue serve here, oh yeah, npm run serve. And we'll go here, localhost 80. So now we are, thought I removed that Hello Vue folder. There we go. All right, so what have we got? We've got public, we've got an icon, which is the Vue icon. We'll try and replace that. We've got our index, which has our app and some stuff for the title and stuff. And then we have the source folder. The source folder has our assets. It has the Vue logo. It also has components. So the hello world Vue component. And you can see that this template here, this is a Vue component as a standalone file. We haven't looked at this before. Last week, we created Vue components inside our HTML or imported them with script tags. So a Vue component in a single file component looks like this. It has a template. Within the template is HTML and our template tags and so forth. For instance, the message. And then it has a script. So you can see it gives a name to our component. It's called Hello World, and it has properties. This property is message, and it tells us it's a string, type string. And then we also have scoped style attribute. Scoped is not part of HTML, but Vue knows how to add scoped style so that the style I add to this component will not bleed out into any other HTML or other components in this document. So for instance, we can change our link colors, right? We can change these to the 369, oops, that I like for my own branding. So now my links are kind of a dark blue. We can also do things like we can change the font. And we can change the font for the whole body. Well, let's not change it for the body. Let's change it for our hello class. And then we can do things like we can font, family, we can change it to Courier, just so it's something that's easy to notice when it changes and it looks like a typewriter font. Or we can change it to Verdana, which is what my OneShore logo uses. And then we can use sans serif as a fallback. So we can fall back if your system doesn't have Verdana, then it will fall back to sans serif. We can even do Arial as kind of a midway. Let's go ahead and move this over. We don't need to see that as wide. We don't need to see that as wide either. And that goes back to whatever these defaults are. What is this default font? Computed, font family, Avener, Helvetica, etc. That comes in from probably here, yep, from our app default. So that's pretty good. We can also, in the app, we can do things like we can change the font size. We change it to 20 pixels. Make it bigger. So you can change your style in your app or in your nested component. But let's take a look at this Hello Vue. We've got our installed CLI plugins, essential links, and ecosystem. Let's just go ahead and delete all these things. And there we go. And let's go ahead and just change the text. Well, let's not do that. Let's create another component. So we have our list of components here, and we have our app.vue. For our app, what does our app do? Well, it starts off with a template, and it has welcome to your Vue app. Now, this welcome to your Vue app is part of the message, so I can change this to say, welcome to OneShore training. And it changes this. This is actually calling the hello world component. So you can see my wrapper component here is this ID app. And I'm gonna go ahead and change my logo too. And this is going to be, let me see, I need to move that to, I need to move OneShore logo in here. Okay, so it fails to compile. Why? Because it can't find this in assets. So let's go ahead and we'll pop on over here. And we've got our, oops. I shouldn't have done that. That's going to take a while. I just wanted to show that we have in the source folder, we have the assets folder. So what I want to do is I want to copy, and I have my logo to source assets. Yes. All right. And then you see it automatically reloaded. It had the compile error that it said it couldn't find the assets. Now it has the assets. So we're doing pretty good. Welcome to OneShore training. Let's change this text here. This is in the Hello World Vue component. And I'm just going to copy my text so I don't come up with anything original here. Not that this is great text, but Let's make that bigger so we can read it. So I can read it with my old eyes. Choose from the following topics and register to receive a meeting invite. If you'd like to know more or reserve a private session, contact me. Okay. And that's not going to change anything here. Now, this is kind of a fix. Oh, well, we're not even looking at the right one here. Now, look, well, we don't want it centered. So let's go ahead and change our CSS here. So let's see, is this in? What we want is we want our font size here to be. And we'll go back to our app and we'll remove that. All right, we want to change our display. Why is this centered? Oh, and we don't want that. Vue CLI documentation. We want to go to let's just go to www.oneshore.com here. We want this in another paragraph. So this isn't how I would normally do it. I would probably avoid the boilerplate and just start from scratch. But what do I want to do? I want to find out where it's telling me it's centered. Okay, I'm setting my font size here. That's what I added on this element. It looks like everything is centered in the document. So let's go back to our app. Font family, smoothing, anti-alias, grayscale, text align, center. We'll just remove that. And then let's add some borders. We don't want a margin top of 60 pixels. We want like 10 pixels. That looks good. And then we want margin left of something like 40 pixels. Let's do more than that. Let's do 60 pixels. And then margin right of something like 60 pixels as well. And let's do our margin bottom. Let's keep that like 60 pixels for consistency. We want to use the top. Okay, it's looking like a pretty snazzy website now, right? Well, not really, but one other thing I want to do is I want to set my max width. I want to set that to about 70 grams. So that way, when I expand, it doesn't get too insanely wide. Well, that's pretty wide. Let's go to 50. That looks better. If you go huge, this content isn't going to get too huge. All right. And then let me, so that we tie this to something. Let's see if we can get variety of subject on the same line. So we'll go 55 grams. There we go. That looks like a pretty good width to me. Okay. Didn't mean for this to be a CSS basics course from someone with no design skills, but that's what it's turning into. What we've done is we've created this hello world Vue component, but we don't really want a component called hello Vue. We want a component to list our training courses. We could change this. We could change this to training header. Now we're going to get a compile error. Let's rename this. Now we've got a compile error. How do we fix this? We go back to our main app and we change our component from hello world to training header. Still not going to work because what we're trying to do is we're importing hello world. So we want to import training header. And the component we're called, this component, rather than an image or a div or a hello world, it's called training header. And then of course we just need to change the file name and we're back in business. So now we have an app that imports this training header component, which pretty basic. It has a message. We'll call this message. We'll change this to title right now. So now it disappears. We don't have anything called title. We need to change this from message to title. It's still not working. What this is a property that we're setting in our script, and then we're getting it in the template. But where is it getting set from? Right now, it's just saying it's a string. But what we want to do, we could set it to a value. Nope, it should be a constructor. So string is the type. Now we go back to our main app view component, our app level or our root component. And here we want to set our message here. So this is like a parameter that we're setting, not message. We want to set it as title. So we can call this one-shore training courses. There we go. So you can see the title is an argument to here. And so it gets it in the properties, sets it, and then we're able to get that in our template. So this could be done dynamically, right? But right now we're just passing it as a property. We could actually take it and we could create some data. And we return an object with title here. And I could call this my free training courses. Okay, what is it not like? Module error, expected comma. Oh, first comments, comma, data. There we go. Okay, so it's not getting my free training courses here because it's coming in the title. But I can actually here, I can use a template in this component. And I can put that here. I cannot put that here. Errors. What did I do? Interpolation inside attributes has been removed. Use vbind or the colon shorthand. Instead of div ID, use div ID equals value. So it doesn't like all right, let's look up this issue. I think it's just a matter of that you can't do it to components. All right, that's not even showing us what we need. Oh, it's not even certain. Interpolation of attributes has removed. All right. This is a new change, I think. 3 years ago. This is not new. All right. There exists an error ID. Interpolation inside has been removed. So we put a colon in here. I guess what I would do is I would do colon title. No parsing error. So yeah, it doesn't like binding inside attributes. And I think the real issue here is that it's an attribute to a component. For instance, if I had a P, maybe if I had an input value equals we'll just change that back. Just to get rid of our error. Okay, so it wants to require use JavaScript code inside vbind or shortcut, colon. Don't want to require something. All right, let's ignore this. This isn't something I needed to do anyway. All right, so we're back to one short training courses. So ignore my whole comment about the data in the component. For some reason, it won't pass that. Just a typo there. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to create another component that will list my data. So my courses. Now, I also have this S3 bucket, which is JSON. What I want to do is I want to get this JSON and print it so that I can update my JSON and it will update my page. So let's just start off. I'm just going to grab this content here. And within my script, actually not within this script, within my new script, I'm going to do that. But the next thing I want to do is I want to just copy this component. And I'm going to rename this to course, let's call it course list.vue. All right, let's go ahead and clean everything up out of here. I just wanted to show you. So we start with a template with a root element. It always has to have a root element. Call this course list. And we'll just start off with it saying courses. We need to change our name to course list. Let's keep our class, our file name, our CSS class name, our component registration name, all of this, keep this all. And let's make our font size a little smaller for this. Yeah, we do want to keep our list and our link here. Okay, what do we got? we've got an H2. Font style, underline, no, font, just so we can see that it's getting registered. Oh, and then we want to go color 334433. Let's look at our code. Okay, we want this to be 356 or 369. Okay, we don't have our component here yet. So this style is not getting attributed because it's not displaying. So we have nothing here. Our component consists of just a single container div with courses heading. So let's go ahead and add this. We've got our course list view. Let's go back to our our app view. And what we want to do is we want to add course list to our components. Now it's not defined. We need to import it. There we go. Still doesn't like what's going on here. The course list component has been registered but not used. Well, that's kind of rude. We probably don't want to be that strict, but let's clean up here. All right, so we want to add our component. And we'll do it just like that. And we have courses, and it's in italic, which we don't really want, but we did it for fun. So let's go ahead on our training header. We want to, does that have an H3 or an H2? It has an H1. First, we want our color. Our margin 0, padding 0. All right. And since we have one short training courses, we don't need one short training course. So we want free online training courses. And color, we want to change those margins. We also want to change our font size. Font family, we're gonna be consistent with our logo. Font weight. It's normal. And then we want a margin. We want like a 10, we want a margin top of 10 px, I think. And a bottom of 10 px. Well, let's do 15. Well, let's do this relative. And padding, we want 0, 0. Free online training courses, font size. Font size. I don't know what this is, but let's make this 2. Let's do 3. No, let's do 2.5. All right. We'll stick with 2 since what does it look like on public? Pretty good. I think we've got a different font there. Okay. Free online training courses. Hello, my name is Aaron Evans. Sign up for 3 free online training courses. We can remove this, go back to the OneShore page. We want that at the bottom. I'm not sure how to yield, because what I'd like to do is, oh, I do know what I would do is I would put my course list here. So let's do that. Let's remove the course list. Well, we're not going to do that. Not today. But we're going to remove this from the training header and put it in a footer. Maybe down here. Well, and what you can do is you can, in your template, create HTML and eventually move it out into a into a component. All right, how do we do that? CSS footer on bottom of page. Let's keep it on the bottom of the screen. Position relative, margin top. We don't want that. Position fixed, bottom 0. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. Well, something like that. And then what we want to do is we want oops, cut and paste error. Let's make that a little bit darker. And we'll just add a little Q when we hover over it, it underlines. Great. And we can even do something like this. Now it goes bold. I don't like that. Could make all of our links bold though. I think we want it semi-bold, but we're not going to worry about that now. Okay. We've got our page working. We need to get our course lists now. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to do it the old-fashioned way just to test out. So I'm going to grab my, too many windows, gonna make you sick. All right. So in our course list component, we've got our properties, we've got our title, which is a string. And it's actually a good idea to pass this in separately. So you could do data colon function, or you could do data with brackets and not the colon. I like to be consistent. If I am creating an object, then I want them all to be colon, whatever it is. And what I could also do is I could also do function fetch courses. That's a good start. And what this will do is this will return an object that contains my list. Let's see, what does this line up with? Does it want a semicolon? What does it want to be happy? Tell me VS Code, expected colon. Const. Expected colon where? Do I have a parsing error? Is this even JSON? No, this isn't JSON. Oh, it is JSON. Okay, so I often do something like this when I need to see if I have a typo somewhere. Parse error name test, line 1. Is it the ampersand? No, it's not the ampersand. Let's remove this. And this, it's at the comma. Line 14. All right. I don't know what it was. Something with the extra curly brackets. Okay, so we've got our courses JSON. Let's just validate this one more time. It likes it. All right. So now our data function, this is something that it's ugly. What we want to do is we want to return an object that contains this array. Fetch courses. I'm not sure about the order of precedence. If it's going to, no, it should export this after it parses out. All right, so now I have, in my data, I have courses, so I can do this. Courses sub0 dot name, right? There we go. And I can change that to courses sub1 dot name, web development with JavaScript. and so forth. So what I want to do, I want to go back to what we did last week. I want to create a list. And for each list item, I want to do v4. And I want to do course in courses. Let me show you how the documentation, list rendering, v-4 item in items. And you can see you can specify optionally a key there. It is recommended to provide a key attribute whenever possible, unless the DOM is simple or you are intentionally relying on the default behavior for performance games. Don't use non-primitive values like objects and arrays. For keys, use string or numeric values. Now the key would be the name, so we could say key equals, or we could do colon key, or you see it v-bind key. So colon key equals name, or equals course.name. We didn't do that last week just because didn't need to for complexity reasons. Okay. So now instead of listing each one individually, I can do course.name. We hop back over here to our UI, we've got a compile error. For course and courses key course name, UL has no matching end tag. If you remember from watching my last week episode, I struggled for a good 10 minutes because I had two components and my closed div tag didn't have a slash, and Vue was just giving me these ridiculous errors. But it looks like Vue serve it gives me better errors. You can see here my LI doesn't have a closing tag. Tag LI has no matching end tag. And the Vue Google Developer Tools can also help you get better. So now I have this, it's kind of ugly because my list is an inline block. I don't want it to be an inline block. I want it to be a block. So now I've got my list. What I want to do though is I want to have a title. So I'm going to add a little bit of structure to my list, right? I'm going to add a H3 element for the course name. And we just make it a little bit bigger. And we will we'll eliminate this font style. We'll make that consistent across the different fields, the headings. And then what we want to do is we want to get our dates, right? So every course schedule dot day at course schedule dot time. I need to look at my JSON here. Schedule day, schedule time. There we go. Every Monday at 10 a.m. Okay, so we've essentially got to roughly where we were before last week. Only instead of implementing it as a standalone component, we're building it with the Vue CLI. We've got standalone components. We didn't implement it as standalone components. We did it in line with our HTML last week. So and we can create that as a p tag paragraph. And then what I'm going to do, well, we don't want that as a paragraph. We want that as call this div class equals schedule. And then just the last thing we'll do is we'll do something like in our scoped div. The nice thing is now I don't have to worry about all the different CSS tags and stuff. Schedule, and then I can do font style italic here. And always clear to find out what's going on. Oh, my heading, I think height is the issue there. Okay, so we want to dial that back and say we want the margin here to be something like 10 px and 0, and we want to be more specific. So we want our margin top to be something like 1 m, and we want our margin bottom to be 0. Maybe we want to go 0.2 rems. That looks good, and maybe we want to go 1.2 there. Maybe 1.5. Maybe 2. Okay, that works. Let's stick with 0 on our margin bottom. And yeah, we want our padding to be 0. So we've got that. We don't have our time zones yet. I will go ahead and work on that later, and appreciate your time and your listening. And we will see you next time. So goodbye.